Hi, this is Donna Faye Weitzinger, Navajo County Supervisor for District 5. Today we are coming to you with Navajo County Connection, and we're going to talk about wildland fire preparedness. And we have a special guest today, and I'll let Kim introduce herself and tell us what it is that you do.
Sure.
And anything you would like to share.
Sure, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Kim O'Farrell, and I am the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Program Manager, but I work directly with the Emergency Management Office.
Well, it's so nice to have you today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I know that a lot of things that, well, as a community, we've been thinking about drought, that we haven't had a lot of moisture within our community. And so we think about wildland fire. Certainly we have seen some of the largest fires in Arizona within our region. And so as we're thinking about that as a community, we want to talk a little bit about that today. And so one of those things is, as a property owner, what are some of those things that we can do to prepare our homes?
Great question. So as we've recently seen the wildfires over in California, we know how devastating they can be and how quickly that can happen. So some of the things that you can do is to make sure that you are clearing your property, making sure that there's no debris, and you want to take the bushes away from the home, and make sure that you don't have wood stacked up against the home, your pine needles are cleared up, and you have hardened your home, making sure, like, if you have a deck, that there's some way that you can protect the embers from going underneath that deck. Yeah. There's so many ways out there to do that, but really creating that defensible space is a lot, or is what we talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think those are good tips, and I think when we think about defensible space, or at least the initial defensible space, that 5 feet, I was going to say 5 miles, 5 feet out from your home. So getting all the bushes, debris, and everything 5 feet away from your home. Trees, and some of those things are really difficult because there are trees that we might love,
yes.
Shrubs that we might love, and so trying to prepare our homes that we have to get rid of some of those things just to be able to protect our homes. And when I think about it, I think about, starting from the top going down. Mm-hmm. So we think about, if we have a wood burning stove, do we have a screen on top?
Yes.
Are we blowing the debris off of the roof and so forth?
And in your downspout, your gutters as well, making sure those are clean as well.
Yes.
And you brought up a really good point about miles, right? And I often wonder if people understand that embers from a wildfire can travel miles.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. And so when we think about what starts maybe a home on our property, it's most often going to be those embers that are coming from a wildland fire.
Yes.
And so that's why it's so important to start from the top of our property down, or even when we're thinking about trees. I know that a lot of us might have pine needles, or we might have fallen dried leaves, and those things can be sparks. So we just need to be mindful of the things that can start a fire on our property.
Right.
So there are lots of things that we could do. And so not only are we going to get our property ready, but when we think about an emergency, if we have to evacuate, what are some of those things that we should be doing?
So learning about ready, set, go, that is a language that is adopted throughout the state of Arizona. Ready, making sure that you're prepared 24/7, right? You've got your go kits ready, and we'll come back to that. Your go kit is ready, it's stored away in the closet, ready to be pulled out. Understanding that set, if you hear that in our community through our vetted sources of information, that there's imminent danger coming your way. And so you just need to keep an ear out and understand that you need to be aware of something coming, and that's for all hazards. Mm-hmm. It could be fire, it could be flood, it could be what have you. Yeah. And then go is that evacuation notice. But some of the things that, like you talked about, that we can do to be prepared is creating that go kit, making sure that you have food, water, medication, if you have small children in the home, if they need diapers or formula or what have you. Having all of that prepared and put away into a tote, maybe stored away in your closet, enough for at minimum 3 days for every member of your family, including your pets.
And that's a good tip, 3 days. And my husband and I recently started working on our to-go kit. And some of those things are important papers. So if we need our birth certificate, insurance, all of those things that are important if something should happen to our property.
Home deeds, anything like marriage licenses, anything like that. We've recently talked with a woman who survived one of the wildfires in California, the car fire, if you remember that a few years ago. And one of the things, even when she moved here to this community a couple of years later, that she struggled with was getting her children enrolled because she did not have their birth certificates.
Yeah.
And so those are
I could see that.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to be thinking. And it's so much easier now, because my husband and I, we've been talking about this, and we have a list. And so, we'll get it out, and it gives us time. And so in the midst of an emergency, you're not thinking straight. No. We're thinking about maybe family photos or something like that. So trying to be ahead and be prepared for those things. So we're thinking about mitigation of property, we're thinking about those to-go kits, and we think about Ready, Set, Go. And so what is the system that allows for the public, for our community members, friends, neighbors, to be aware? Where do they go for information?
Great question. So we do have an alerting system here in our county. It's called Ready Navajo County. And you can sign up for that in several different ways. You can go on to our county website at navajocounty.gov and search for the Emergency Management Department. There's a link right in that. You can talk with us out in public when we're out in doing our community events. We can sign you up there. You can also contact the Emergency Management Department directly, and that phone number is listed on the website as well, and we can give you information there.
I know that our community is very savvy about wildland fire, that this is part of our dialect as a community. And so the more that we can help one another to be able to be prepared and to be mindful of information. And you said an important thing that we need to go back to. You said a vetted place or information.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So vetted sources of information. When things go on in the community, a lot of us will turn to social media, such as Facebook. Facebook is really big in our community, and there's a lot of things that go on, a lot of things that are said through those social media pages. But what we would ask is that you would turn to those vetted sources of information, such as the Navajo County Emergency Management and Preparedness Facebook page, or maybe it's your local fire department's page, or your local police department page, or perhaps it's your city or town's social media page. Those vetted sources of information. We have a really great PIO group that works across the lines between Navajo and Apache counties. And so we all really try to share the same information and make sure that there's not any discrepancies. And so we want to push out the most accurate information through those pages.
I think that's really a good tip, because it's true, we've all seen it happen, where individuals might go to maybe a place that doesn't have the most correct or accurate information. And that only leads to one, misinformation, and maybe there's a little bit of chaos and so forth. And so those vetted places will allow for opportunities for you to best understand what's going on. If your community is at risk and maybe you need to be in the ready phase. So there's lots of good information, and I've seen that over many years that the county and all of those who are partners and so forth, they do a really good job at providing that information.
Yes, yes.
So one of the things that we have coming up soon is we have a Wildland Preparedness Summit. And so what is that going to be, and where is that going to be at?
Great question. So the Wildfire Preparedness Expo is being held on March 29th. It's a Saturday at from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that will be held at the Blue Ridge High School Administration Building at 1200 West White Mountain Boulevard. And so what that is it's a whole group of partners from around our community who are coming together to speak with and we'll have interactive booths, and Smokey will be there, and so door prizes, raffles, those kinds of things. But we really just want to get our community in and get engaged with them, have those really open conversations about ways that they can harden their home or create defensible space on their property. Talking about those go kits and how do you be prepared medically if you have an access and functional need within your home.
Yes, all of the good information that will allow us to make the most informed decision if there happens to be an emergency. So we're excited, we're grateful to be able to partner with all of our local fire departments, townships, and those who help in an emergency. There are many of them, so we're so grateful for that opportunity and to be able to have this expo on March 29th. So I hope that you will join us and that we will see you there, and that as a community that we will work together to be more fire-wise. So thank you, and thank you to Kim for joining me today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the invitation, and this is one of those things I love to talk about, so thank you.
Awesome, thank you.